Let me guess. Lately it feels like stress has taken the upper hand. You're trying to hold it all together, every detail, every outcome. But the more you try to control it, the more things seem to unravel. Sound familiar? Let me ask you something gently. What if the answer isn't pushing harder, but releasing the grip? What if the power you're looking for begins with letting go? In this video, I want to offer something different. Not hype, not empty promises, but grounded insight. A way to create the life you desire without exhausting yourself to get there. This isn't about waiting passively or pretending life will magically fix itself. It's about aligning with what matters. It's about understanding how to meet life on its terms and how to stop resisting what you were never meant to control. Let me tell you a story. Javier was a high-performing executive, always composed, always in control. Deadlines, decisions, constant pressure. He carried it all without showing a crack. Until one day, his body refused to play along. In the middle of a presentation, his system shut down. He couldn't speak, couldn't move. A panic attack gripped him in front of his entire team. In that silent collapse, one question rose to the surface. What am I really doing with my life? On a friend's advice, he stepped away. A cabin in the mountains, no screens, no calls, just space and silence. At first, his thoughts raced. The noise was still inside him, but slowly it started to settle. He walked, he listened, he breathed, and then something from Marcus Aurelius echoed in his mind. Accept everything that comes to you, woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs. That line shifted something. He realized he didn't have to control everything for things to go well. And when he returned to work, he didn't go back to the same rhythm. He created space, time to reflect, time to care for himself, time to simply live. And the surprising part? Things didn't fall apart. They got better. His team was more relaxed, results improved, and he felt something he hadn't felt in years: peace. Now let me ask you, how often do you carry a weight that isn't truly yours? How long have you been squeezing life so tightly, afraid that if you let go, it'll all fall apart? Maybe today is the day to loosen your grip, to let calm do the work, to trust the process a little more than your fear wants you to. Let's begin with one simple idea. Let go and breathe. Picture yourself on a beach. You scoop up a handful of sand. Hold it gently and it stays. But squeeze it tightly and it slips through your fingers. This is life. When you try to force every detail, you create resistance. And the harder you push, the more drained you feel. Not because you're weak, but because you're fighting a tide that isn't meant to be held. Trying to control everything is like driving with the handbrake on. You burn energy, but you go nowhere. Let go of that brake, and suddenly the road opens up again. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means allowing room for life to move with you, not against you. And when you stop grasping so tightly, things begin to unfold, often in ways more beautiful than you could have planned. You planned everything. Where to eat, what to do, even games to keep the kids entertained. But of course, nothing goes as expected. There's traffic. It starts to rain. And just when you need calm, the kids decide it's the perfect moment for a meltdown. So now what? Do you let frustration take over? Do you assume the universe is out to get you because the plan isn't unfolding the way you imagined? Or do you pause? Do you breathe and accept that some things will always be outside your control? Because this is life. You can't control traffic, or the weather, or someone else's emotions, but you can always choose how you respond. And that's where Stoicism quietly changes everything. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, offers a gentle but profound reminder. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. He wasn't telling us to surrender to chaos. He was pointing us toward peace, the kind that only comes when you stop wasting energy on resistance. It's like pressing the gas pedal with the handbrake still on. You burn out, but you don't move forward. Release the brake, and everything flows with less strain, less noise. So ask yourself, what matters more, forcing everything to go perfectly, or actually being present enough to enjoy the journey, however imperfect it may be? I know letting go sounds simple in theory and hard in practice, but that's why I want to share 3 small steps. Quiet practices to help you release control and reconnect with clarity. 1. Write it down and let it go. Grab a piece of paper. Write down whatever's weighing on you. A sentence is enough. I'm trying to control this, but I can't, and that's okay. Then crumple it up. Throw it away. It may seem silly, but symbolically it matters. It tells your mind, this doesn't need to live in me anymore. Step 2. Use the red light pause. Next time something doesn't go your way, don't rush into reaction. Stop. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold for 2. Then slowly breathe out for 6. Let that breath create space. Space between the event and your response. That pause, that's where wisdom lives. 3. Schedule nothing. Yes, nothing. Even if it's just 15 minutes a day. No emails, no noise, no goal. Just space. Sit. Listen to music. Look at the sky. Do whatever brings you back to yourself. Because in that stillness, the mind settles. And in that clarity, you begin to remember what you truly want, not just what you're chasing. And here's what might surprise you. When you stop forcing life to obey your timeline, life doesn't fall apart. It begins to take shape with less effort and more grace. This isn't magic. It's perspective. When you stop pouring energy into things you can't change, you create space for what truly matters. So ask yourself, what if you let go, just a little, today? Not all at once, just one small grip loosened, one breath, one pause, one step. Now let's talk about how you begin your day. Have you noticed? Some days flow with ease, like life is cooperating. Other days feel like climbing uphill with no end in sight. It's not luck. More often than not, it comes down to how you begin. Your morning is your tuning fork. If you start in noise, you carry noise. If you start in calm, you carry clarity. Think of it like tuning an instrument before a performance. If you skip it, the whole song feels off. But if you take the time, everything falls into harmony. Let me share something simple. One morning, I did things differently. No phone, no scrolling, just a few quiet moments. I sat up in bed, took a breath, set an intention. Then I played a song that made me feel alive. Something about it lifted my energy. And yes, I danced around the kitchen while making coffee. It felt silly, but that feeling stayed with me all day. Even the usual annoyances didn't stick. And I understood something deeper. The tone you choose in the first hour shapes everything that follows. The Stoic Seneca once said, "Each day is a new life." He began his mornings reflecting, not reacting, not checking what the world demanded from him, but aligning with what truly mattered to him. You can do the same. Before you reach for your phone, pause, sit, breathe, inhale for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6, 3 cycles. That's all it takes. Then move into your day with intention. Not to control it all, but to meet it with calm, presence, and quiet strength. Because the truth is, the more you let go of needing control, the more you step into your own power. And from there, everything begins to change. What's one small thing that makes your morning feel meaningful? For me, it's music. Not for productivity, not to hype me up, but to reconnect with something that feels alive inside. So here's a gentle suggestion. Put on a song that lifts your spirit, something that stirs you quietly or makes you want to move, just a little. And yes, even if it feels a little silly, dance, alone in the kitchen, in front of the mirror, wherever you are. You might laugh at yourself. And honestly, that's the beauty of it. No one has to see. That little burst of lightness can shift your entire emotional state, from heaviness to presence. Here's another small ritual. Before you leave the house, take just one quiet minute. Ask yourself, what's one thing I want to experience today? It doesn't need to be a goal. It could be something as simple as enjoying lunch without rushing, or moving through your errands with a little more ease. These gentle intentions act like anchors. They bring clarity, not pressure. And over time, they guide your day back toward what truly matters. So now ask yourself honestly, how do you want your mornings to feel from this point on? Do you want to wake up in chaos, letting the day pull you in every direction? Or do you want to create your own rhythm, something simple, steady, and yours? You don't need a perfect morning routine. You don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. You just need to start from a place of calm and intention, because every morning offers you a choice, and how you begin shapes how everything else unfolds. If you found something valuable in this, consider subscribing or becoming part of our community. It's not just about content, it's about growing through shared reflection. Let us know in the comments. What simple step will you take to create calm and attract what truly matters? 3. Your mind, your quiet ally. Think of your mind as a puzzle. When the pieces are scattered and tangled, it's hard to make sense of anything. The bigger picture feels impossible to grasp, just noise and confusion. But what happens when you pause and start sorting, noticing the edges, grouping by shape, organizing by color? Suddenly, the image begins to emerge. It's not magic, it's order. Your mind works the same way. When it's full of clutter, worries, noise, unfinished thoughts, it's no wonder you feel overwhelmed. You can't see clearly when your inner world is chaotic. But give it space, give it silence, even for a few moments, and something shifts. Clarity returns, direction reappears. There's a powerful real-world example of this. Years ago, a pilot named Chesley Sullenberger, Sully, faced the unimaginable. He was flying a commercial aircraft with more than 150 people on board. Everything was going smoothly until it wasn't. A sudden bird strike disabled both engines, no power, a crowded city below, and the cold Hudson River ahead. It could have been chaos. But Sully didn't panic. He focused, slowed his breathing. His training kicked in. But more importantly, so did his clarity. In that space of calm, he made one of the most heroic decisions in aviation history. Landing the aircraft safely on the river. Everyone survived. Now, of course, your day isn't a crisis. But the principle still holds. When your mind is calm, it becomes your greatest ally. Not by controlling everything, but by responding with presence, awareness, and trust in your deeper self. So today, take one breath, clear one mental corner, and trust that clarity is waiting just beneath the noise. What would most of us have done in that moment? Panic, without a doubt. But Sully did something different. He closed his eyes for just a second and took a deep breath. There was no room for panic. In his mind, there was only focus. He visualized what needed to happen. Land the plane safely on the Hudson River. Not because he was sure it would work. He wasn't. But because he trusted his experience, his team, and above all, his ability to remain calm under pressure. He didn't react. He responded with presence. And do you want to know what happened next? While alarms blared, while passengers held their breath, Sully spoke firmly and clearly. Brace for impact. It wasn't just a technical instruction. It was a declaration of leadership, of steady resolve. In the middle of chaos, he created clarity. He became the calm that everyone else needed. And it worked. He landed the plane on the river. No lives were lost. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens that disturbs us, but our thoughts about it." Sully couldn't change the engines. He couldn't undo what happened with the birds. But he could control how he thought, and from that place, how he acted. That's what made the difference, and that's what we can learn. When you calm your mind, you stop seeing only problems. You begin to see possibilities, solutions, next steps. So how do you train your mind to become your strongest ally? Start simple. Take just 5 minutes a day to sit quietly and sort through your thoughts. Not to fix them all, but to give them space, to organize the noise. Picture your worries like puzzle pieces scattered across a table. If you try to solve everything at once, it's overwhelming. But if you begin by sorting one corner at a time, things start to make sense. Let's say you're carrying 3 big stressors: a tight work deadline, an unresolved argument with someone close, and anxiety about finances. Instead of letting them all swirl around in your head, pause. Put the work task in one corner, marked in yellow. That's something you can act on soon. The argument? That's orange. It needs care, but not urgency. Maybe just a conversation. And the financial worry, mark that in red. A future peace. You'll sit with that when it's time to review and plan. Nothing has been fixed yet, but something important has shifted. The chaos is no longer in control. You've created order. You've made room to breathe. And that alone lifts the weight. Because here's the truth. You don't need to solve everything in one sitting. You just need to stop carrying it all at once. A clear mind doesn't just feel better. It thinks better. It sees options you couldn't see before. And it makes space to attract the life you actually want to live. So maybe the next step isn't more control. Maybe it's more trust in your inner strength, in your ability to pause, reflect, and respond. And maybe, just like Sully, you'll find the calm isn't what you do after the chaos. It's what guides you through it. Have you noticed how rushing through things is like putting food on a hot pan without oil? It doesn't cook, it burns. And often, the result is far from what you imagined. Here's the truth. Calm isn't slowness, it's clarity. It's choosing a pace that allows things to unfold with care, not force. Imagine this. You've invited friends for dinner. Everything is planned. But you get home late and feel pressure to make up for lost time. You start chopping quickly. Ingredients are uneven. The sauce boils over. The pasta overcooks. You're distracted, tense, and when you finally serve the meal, it's not at all what you envisioned. Now think of the opposite. You give yourself space. You chop carefully. You taste the sauce as it simmers. You adjust the flavors with attention. The pasta is just right, al dente. The meal comes together, not just in taste, but in presence. You didn't just cook. You enjoyed the experience. That difference? It's not luck. It's calm intention. Because rushing doesn't just ruin meals. It ruins moments. It blurs opportunities. And too often, we rush because we feel like we're falling behind. Like we're in a race we didn't even sign up for. But here's something important to remember. Everyone has their own rhythm. Comparing yours to someone else's is like standing over a plant and demanding it grow faster. It doesn't work that way. Marcus Aurelius knew this well. He once said, "The mind is like water. When it is calm, it reflects the world clearly." Even as emperor, carrying the weight of an empire, he didn't let urgency dictate his choices. He paused, reflected, and acted with calm and precision, even in the face of chaos. It wasn't about doing more. It was about doing what mattered with a steady hand. I understand, slowing down isn't always easy, especially when the world around you seems to be moving faster every day. But what if the real power lies in those small pauses? What if that's where things finally begin to fall into place? Here's something you can try. Before starting any task, pause for just 2 minutes. Close your eyes. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what's the most important thing I can do right now? Mentally lay out the steps, like you're tidying the desk of your mind. You'll feel clearer, less scattered. And from that calm place, your work will flow with more ease and fewer mistakes. And here's another truth people rarely say out loud. Multitasking doesn't make you productive. It makes you distracted and drained. So instead, try this. Choose one task, just one. Give it your full attention, like planting a single seed with care. Once that's done, move on to the next. You won't just get more done. You'll do it well, and you'll feel more present as you move through your day. Because when you work with calm, you're not just getting through your to-do list. You're creating space for the life you actually want. Ralph Waldo Emerson said it best. Adopt the pace of nature. Her secret is patience. And he was right. Calmness doesn't just improve results. It allows you to enjoy the process, to live each step rather than rush through it. So imagine this. Instead of racing against the clock, you walk your path with clarity. You breathe. You move with care. You don't lose time. You reclaim it. Because when you act from calm, you're not just managing life. You're shaping it, intentionally, moment by moment. Imagine someone hands you a box and tells you, inside is everything you're missing in life, everything you've ever wanted. You feel a spark of excitement. You open it, expecting to find something extraordinary. But all you see is a mirror. At first, you're confused. What is this supposed to mean? And then slowly, it becomes clear. You don't need more. You just need to see what you already have, with new eyes. We spend so much of our lives reaching, chasing, striving, that we often forget to pause and notice where we are. What's already here? What's already enough? But here's the quiet truth. When you begin to truly appreciate what you have, something shifts. Life feels a little lighter. Stress softens, and almost effortlessly, good things begin to flow in. Gratitude doesn't fix everything, but it does reframe everything, and that shift in perspective can be more powerful than it seems. Let me share a story that speaks to this deeply. It's simple, but revealing. There was a farmer, like many of us, who couldn't stop thinking about all the things he lacked. Every day he complained, "My house is too small. I can't rest. I don't have enough space. I need a better life." Eventually, worn down by his frustration, he went to the village wise man and asked for advice. The wise man listened carefully and then said, "Bring your chickens into the house." The farmer was confused, but he trusted the advice. The next day he returned frustrated. "Now it's worse. There's no room to move." The wise man nodded and said, "Now bring in your pig." Even more confused, but still trusting, he did it. By the third day, the farmer returned, completely overwhelmed. "This is a disaster. I can't breathe in there." The wise man smiled gently and said, "Now, take the chickens and the pig out." When the farmer returned home, something changed. The house was still the same size, but now it felt spacious, peaceful. For the first time, he appreciated it. Nothing in his circumstances had changed, only his perspective. That's what gratitude does. It doesn't need to change your situation. It changes how you see your situation. And once your lens shifts, you begin to notice small details, overlooked blessings, and even opportunities that were there all along, just hidden in plain sight. Psychologist Robert Emmons describes gratitude as a kind of mental reset. It clears emotional noise. It helps us focus, not on what's missing, but on what's already working. And when we start there, with presence, with thankfulness, we open a quiet door to more, not because we're forcing life to give us more, but because we've made space to receive what's already available. Gratitude isn't magic, but it often feels like it. Not because it changes the world, but because it changes how you move through the world. And from that shift, everything else begins. Where you once saw only problems, something begins to shift. Gratitude brings your attention back to what actually matters. And the best part? There's no secret formula, no trick. It's a quiet power you've always had. Gratitude is the wand that's been in your hands all along. This idea isn't new. Seneca once wrote, "Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart." To the Stoics, gratitude wasn't just a pleasant feeling, it was a daily discipline. They gave thanks for simple things, bread, fresh air, the warmth of conversation, because they understood something we often forget. When you train your eyes to see the good, you stop draining your energy on what's missing. And when your attention is no longer scattered, you make space for more good to arrive. So how do we practice this truly? Let's keep it simple. Once a week, take a moment for stillness. Find a quiet space. A small corner will do. Grab a piece of paper and write down 3 things you're genuinely grateful for. But here's the shift. Don't stop at writing them down. Ask yourself, how have these things helped shape who I'm becoming? How have they moved me closer to what I truly want? Maybe a friend's encouragement helped you stay strong. Maybe a recent challenge stripped away the distractions. Notice it, name it, let it settle. This reflection does more than soothe you. It realigns your attention. It helps you move forward, rooted in clarity, not in lack. Over time, this practice becomes a quiet foundation. Gratitude turns from a list into a lens. And without even realizing it, you start walking a path that feels more your own. So let me ask you gently, what are you grateful for right now? Feel free to share it in the comments. Sometimes naming what we appreciate is the first step towards seeing how much we already have. 6. Disconnect from the noise. Now take a moment. Have you ever tried listening to your favorite song in the middle of a street filled with honking cars, sirens, voices overlapping everywhere? No matter how beautiful the music is, the noise drowns it out. And that, unfortunately, is how many of us live today. Notifications, headlines, comparison, endless updates, constant static. Here's the hard question. How can you know what you truly want? If you never hear your own thoughts clearly, if you don't quiet the noise, if you don't create space, you'll miss what your own mind is trying to tell you. Every scroll, every ping, every rushed headline, they might seem harmless, but they slowly fill your mind with other people's priorities, other people's timelines. It's like dust slowly settling on a glass window. Eventually, you can't see through it. You forget what your own view even looked like. But here's the shift. When you pause, just for a moment, it's like wiping that window clean. Suddenly, the view returns. You see your ideas, your path, your voice. Epictetus once said, "The free person is the one who is not afraid to go to the end of their own thoughts." But to do that, you need quiet, not emptiness, just stillness, not silence for the sake of silence, but for the sake of clarity. Because in that quiet, your thoughts can finally breathe. They can form. They can grow into action. So let me ask you honestly, how often do you feel like your mind is too full to think clearly? That kind of mental weight? It's exhausting, and it doesn't bring you closer to what matters. It just pulls you further away. So, are you ready to try something that most people avoid? Let's begin by turning down the noise. Just a little. It won't be easy at first, but it will be worth it. Let me offer a gentle suggestion. Try a no notification day. Now, this isn't about going off the grid. You don't have to turn off your phone completely. Just set boundaries. For example, check your messages only twice. Once in the morning around 9 and once in the evening around 6. The rest of the day, let it be quiet. It may sound simple, but the impact is real. When I tried it, I noticed the change almost immediately. There was more space to think. I could focus on my work without interruption. And more importantly, I felt present, with my thoughts, with my surroundings, with myself. Here's another gentle reset. Step outside, not for an achievement, not for exercise, just to be. You don't need a mountain trail. A quiet corner of a park or your own backyard will do. Give yourself 10 minutes. No headphones, no distractions. Just listen. The wind, the birds, the soft crunch of leaves under your feet. It's remarkable what happens when you reconnect with stillness. Nature has a slower rhythm, one that doesn't rush, but never stops moving forward. It reminds you of a deeper pace that you've always belonged to. When you turn off the noise, it's like putting out a fire. First, you calm the chaos. Only then do you begin to see what's been waiting underneath. And in that quiet, your mind becomes clear again. Ideas begin to rise. Desires come into focus. And without all the static, you can begin aligning your life step by step, not through force, but through clarity. 7. Protect your rest. Now let me ask you this. Have you ever tried using your phone at 10% battery? Everything slows down. The screen lags. The apps freeze. Eventually, it just shuts off. Now think, how often are you living that way? Running on fumes, pushing through fatigue, trying to function at 10% and wondering why things feel off. Imagine instead, waking up each morning with your mind and body fully charged. How different would your days feel? You might think, I don't have time to rest, or I need to keep pushing. But what if that mindset is quietly working against you? Here's the truth. Rest isn't a luxury, it's a foundation. It's not time lost. It's time wisely invested. Because when you sleep well, you're not just recovering, you're preparing, mentally, emotionally, even creatively. And this isn't just poetic language. Science confirms it. At night, while you sleep, your brain goes into deep repair mode. A study from the Center for Neuroscience at the University of Rochester found that during sleep, your brain performs a kind of cleaning. It removes waste, reorganizes thoughts, processes emotions. It resets. You wake up clearer, sharper, more grounded. And in that state, you're far more equipped to move toward what you truly want. So maybe tonight, instead of reaching for one more scroll, reach for rest. Let your body recharge. Let your mind reset. Not because you've earned it, but because you need it. And tomorrow, you'll begin again, fully present, fully alive. 8. Let rest reset you. During sleep, your body does more than recharge. It clears out what's been building up all day, mentally, emotionally, even physically. Like sweeping away the static, the toxins, the mental clutter, so you can start the next day fresh. Not just rested, but reset. When you sleep well, it's like hitting a quiet reset button. You wake up clearer, more focused, more able to meet the day without dragging yesterday into it. Even Marcus Aurelius, Stoic, emperor, warrior, understood this. He once wrote, "Even the soul needs rest to be effective." Despite carrying the weight of an empire, he made time to reflect, to pause. For him, rest wasn't indulgence. It was strategy. He understood. You can't show up fully if you're constantly depleted. And if someone with his responsibilities could create space to recover, why can't you? I know, it sounds good in theory. But between work, worries, and family, you might wonder, how? Here's a simple evening ritual you can start tonight. Turn off all screens at least 30 minutes before bed. That includes your phone. Instead, reach for something slower, a novel, or even just silence. Write your intentions for tomorrow. Something small, something meaningful. I'll stay present during conversations. I'll make space for the project I care about. This doesn't just relax your mind, it gives it a direction. Breathe. Just 5 minutes. No technique needed. Just inhale slowly and exhale even slower. Let your body begin the work of release. Remember this, even the brightest stars only shine when it's dark. And you too need that darkness, not to disappear, but to recharge. 9. Embrace your failures. Let's be honest, failure never feels good. But it's not the enemy. It's just part of how things take shape. Think of your failures like brushstrokes on a blank canvas. At first, they might look like mistakes, smudges, but keep going, and a picture starts to form. Some of the most useful things in your life were born from failure. Take the Post-it note. In the 1970s, a scientist named Spencer Silver was trying to invent a super strong adhesive. Instead, he created one that barely stuck to anything. It sat on a shelf for years, useless, until another colleague had an idea. What if that weak glue could help paper stick and peel off easily? The result? The Post-it. What began as a mistake became a tool millions now depend on. That's the hidden nature of failure. It often carries unexpected value if we stop resisting it. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Failure doesn't define you, but it can shape you if you let it. Every stumble is raw material, and it's yours to use. So how do you begin? First, ease up on yourself. Perfection is a myth that creates paralysis. How many paths have you avoided because you were afraid to get it wrong? When you allow yourself to fall short, you also give yourself room to grow. Second, turn your mistakes into movement. Each failure holds a lesson, if you're willing to look for it. Ask, what did I learn? What will I do differently next time? Each insight becomes a step. And yes, it's slow, but it's upward. Finally, come back to the present. Your past doesn't own your future. Who you were isn't who you are now. You've gained tools, perspective, resilience. Use them. Ask, what can I do today that reflects who I've become, not who I was? You'll start to notice something shifts. The pressure eases. The fear of failure loosens its grip. And in that space, where you're no longer afraid to stumble, you begin to move with more ease, more creativity, more clarity. The path that once felt blocked starts to open. Not because the world changed, but because your relationship with failure did. So ask yourself, what might you create if you stopped fearing the first strokes? Because failure isn't the end. It's the raw beginning of something meaningful. A spark, a foundation, a step toward the full picture of the life you're here to build. 9. See it, feel it, begin within. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself sitting in a quiet movie theater. The lights dim. The screen flickers to life, and there you are. Not as you are now, but as the version of you you've always hoped to become. You're living with purpose, surrounded by the people who bring out your best, doing the work that lights you up, feeling grounded, clear, at peace. It's not a fantasy, it's a vision, a glimpse of what's possible. Now pause and ask yourself, if you were the director of that film, how would it unfold? What would the story be? How would the next chapter begin? Visualization isn't wishful thinking. It's intention in motion. It's how we quietly shape the future before it arrives. When you take the time to imagine with clarity, you give your mind something solid to work with, a direction, a compass. As Seneca wrote, "No wind is favorable to the sailor who doesn't know where he's going." Without a vision, it's easy to drift. But with one, even small steps feel meaningful. Here's something interesting. Your brain doesn't fully distinguish between what you vividly imagine and what actually happens. That's what neuroscience and voices like Joe Dispenza have shown again and again. When you picture something clearly, your brain begins to map it as if it were real. It starts creating the internal conditions for external change. In other words, what you imagine with presence, you begin to embody. And what you embody, you start to attract. So how do you make this a part of your life? It's simple and quiet. First, spend 5 minutes a day with your eyes closed, visualizing your goal. But not just in images. Feel it. If your dream is to write a book, imagine your fingers on the keyboard as you finish the last page. Picture your name on the cover. Feel the weight of the book in your hands. Let your body sense the moment as if it's already arrived. Second, write down your goals as if they've already happened. Not, "I want to start my own business," but "I run a business where I do meaningful work and help people grow." Be specific. What does your day look like? How does it feel to wake up in that reality? And finally, make this process gentle. Don't treat it like another task. Treat it like a pause, a moment to reconnect with yourself. Play soft music. Sit somewhere quiet. Let your mind wander on purpose. This isn't daydreaming. This is focus with feeling, a way of planting seeds before anything blooms. Because when you give your vision attention, you begin to move through the world differently, not with pressure, but with quiet direction. So the next time you feel uncertain, come back to that image. Watch the screen, feel the scene, and remember, your life doesn't begin when things are perfect. It begins when you start showing up for the story you want to live. Everything begins in your mind. When you imagine with clarity, you take the first real step toward turning your dreams into reality. It's not just about wishful thinking. It's about using those visions as a quiet compass to guide your next moves. So what's holding you back? Start visualizing. Start believing. Start gently shaping the life you've always wanted. And remember, your best days are still ahead. This final point isn't just a way to wrap things up. It might be the nudge you need to connect everything we've talked about and create real change. Are you ready to hear it? 10. Trust in what's coming. Imagine you have a small garden and you decide to plant carrots. You prepare the soil, plant the seeds, and water them faithfully every day. In the first week, you eagerly check the soil, hoping to see green shoots. But nothing appears. Am I doing something wrong? You wonder. Another week passes and still nothing shows. Frustration creeps in. Maybe the seeds are bad. Maybe I'm not watering enough. But what you can't see is what's happening beneath the surface. The roots are growing, quietly preparing to break through the soil. From above, it looks like nothing is happening, and that can be discouraging. But don't give up. All the unseen effort is leading somewhere. And when those first shoots finally break through, you'll know it was worth the wait. Because carrots aren't in a rush. But when they come strong, steady, just as you imagined. The same is true when you're manifesting what you truly desire. Even if it feels like nothing is changing, everything is moving beneath the surface. Your intentions, your efforts, even your energy are quietly paving the way. And when the moment is right, the results will arrive. Let's be honest, waiting isn't easy. But what if patience isn't about doing nothing? What if it's about trusting that while you do your part, the universe is doing its own? Marcus Aurelius said it well. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Think of a river. It doesn't rush, no matter how many bends or rocks it encounters. It simply keeps flowing until it reaches the ocean. Now imagine you're in a tough spot. You've decided your life needs a change, a radical one. You quit your job, sell what you don't need, and set off to explore the world. Sounds exciting, right? But then reality hits. Your savings drain faster than expected. The jobs you hope to find aren't there. Doubt creeps in. You start obsessing, trying to control every outcome, searching desperately for quick fixes. But then you remember, you need to trust in what's coming. Trust that even when things seem uncertain or slow, your path is unfolding. Trust that the invisible work beneath the surface is real and necessary. Trust that, like the river and the carrots, your life is moving steadily towards something meaningful. You don't have to have all the answers now. You just need to keep planting, keep watering, and keep trusting. You start applying what you've learned. You relax, write down your intentions, clearly visualize what you want, and slowly begin to let go of some of that tight control. Then, unexpectedly, something shows up. In a casual conversation, someone mentions a work exchange program, an opportunity to stay with hosts while traveling. This is exactly what I needed, you think, heart lifting with joy. But here's the thing. This opportunity wouldn't have found you if you hadn't first let your guard down and trusted in what was coming. Trust doesn't mean folding your arms and waiting idly. It means doing your part, yes, but also allowing space for life to unfold in its own time. You work steadily, but you also relax, manifesting what you desire with calm and patience. And when doubts sneak in, and they will, remind yourself gently, I'm doing my part. The rest will come in its time. Write this down somewhere you'll see it often. Let it be a quiet reassurance that you're not alone on this journey. Never forget, trust in what's coming. Because while you're planting the seeds, life is already working behind the scenes to help them grow. And when you least expect it, you'll be surprised by fruits you never imagined possible. I invite you to embrace everything we've explored today. Let every pause, every visualization, every act of letting go and trusting be a step closer to what you truly desire. Remember, every step you take, no matter how small, has its own purpose. In that calm and trust, there is no emptiness. There is only possibility. That's where your dreams are born. That's where they begin to take shape in reality. If you've made it this far, drop a comment below. I relax and attract what I desire. That way, I'll know who the true Stoic warriors are, the ones who made it to the end. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and like this video so you don't miss what's coming next. Also, check out our playlist right here on the screen. It's full of ideas, stories, and advice to help you navigate life with more wisdom and confidence. Click it, and let's keep moving forward together. Until next time, take care and keep embracing your Stoic mindset mastery.